Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from SABA Satellite Channel from Marib. Here are tonight's top stories.
PLC member Tariq Saleh warns Houthis are dragging Yemen into wider conflict.
Regional and international states condemn attack on Saudi vessels and warn of Houthi maritime threats.
Coast Guard downs Houthi surveillance drone over Red Sea coast.
Welcome back. We begin developments on the National Front. Member of the Presidential Leadership Council, Tariq Saleh, says the Houthi militia is implementing the agenda of Iran's Revolutionary Guard and attempting to drag Yemen into conflicts that serve Tehran rather than Yemenis or Palestinian cause. Speaking during a meeting with tribal leaders and dignitaries from Al-Wazi'iyah district in Taiz, Saleh rejected Houthi claims of a blockade, pointing to continued commercial activity at Hodeidah port. He condemned the militia for worsening Yemeni's economic hardship by targeting the national economy and preventing oil exports. Saleh said the current stage requires unified military, political, tribal, media efforts toward restoring state institutions and ending the Houthi takeover. He also reaffirmed Yemen's solidarity with Saudi Arabia and the broader Arab and Islamic position against Iranian interference, warning against political, regional and external agendas that could divert attention from the central national objective.
Meanwhile, in Hadramaut, member of the Presidential Leadership Council and Hadramaut Governor Salim Al-Khanbashi called for heightened military readiness and coordination amid Houthi threats to maritime navigation and their potential implications for the governorate. During an expanded meeting in Mukalla with the leadership of the 2nd Military Region, Al-Khanbashi reviewed the latest military and security developments and the preparedness of forces to respond to emerging threats. He stressed the importance of maintaining a unified military command, institutional discipline, and a close coordination among military and security units to safeguard Hadramaut's security and stability. Al-Khanbashi said the current situation requires greater coordination and collective action, praising the 2nd Military Region for its role in protecting the governorate.
And on the Red Sea coast, Coast Guard forces shut down a surveillance drone operated by the Houthi militia over the coastal area of Abu Zahr south of Hodeidah. Military media said Coast Guard units detected the drone while it was flying over the area and brought it down. According to the statement, the drone was designed for reconnaissance and surveillance, weighed approximately 80 kilograms, and was launched from a ground platform. The incident comes amid heightened security concerns along Yemen's Red Sea coast and continuing Houthi threats to maritime navigation.
In Taiz, large crowds took to the streets in support of state decisions and Yemen's sovereignty. Demonstrators also rejected Iranian interference and reaffirmed their support for national institutions as the sole authority for sovereign decisions making.
Waving national flags and chanting patriotic slogans, large crowds gathered in the city of Taiz in public demonstrations supporting state decisions and reaffirming their commitment to Yemen's sovereignty and national institutions. The demonstrators voiced their support for measures aimed at strengthening state authority and safeguarding Yemen's national decision-making. They also rejected Iranian interference in Yemen's internal affairs, stressing that state institutions must remain the sole legitimate authority responsible for the country's sovereign decisions.
People from across Taiz have come out today to say yes to a civil state and equal citizenship, and no to militarization and the Houthi militia. Here in Taiz, we have taken to the streets in support of President Dr. Rashad Mohammed Al-Alimi's decisions. We have also come out in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the Gulf, particularly the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It is the duty of all Muslims to stand in support of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Participants said preserving Yemen's sovereignty and strengthening state institutions are essential to maintain national unity and protecting the country from foreign interference. They also voiced their support for Saudi Arabia, hoping that the kingdom continues its support to Yemen till the liberation of all Yemeni lands.
We have joined this mass demonstration to call for the liberation of Taiz and other Yemeni cities from the Houthi militia, which has seized control of large parts of Yemen and weakened the country. These crowds have gathered to demand the restoration of the state and to unite ranks in confronting the Houthi coup. We hope that Saudi Arabia will continue supporting the Yemeni people in their efforts to liberate their country from the militia, which now poses a threat to Saudi Arabia and the wider region.
Known for its strong tradition of civic engagement, Taiz once again witnessed broad public participation, with demonstrators reiterating their support for the state and their commitment to Yemen's sovereignty, national institutions, and independent decision-making.
And amid mounting threats to maritime security, the government strongly condemned a Houthi attack on vessel operated by Saudi company while sailing in the Red Sea. In a statement, the government said the Houthi militia declared targeting of civilian shipping and global energy supplies poses a direct threat to regional and international security and freedom of navigation. The government rejected Houthi claims of a blockade, saying hundreds of vessels carrying food, fuel and commercial goods continue to reach ports under the militia's control. The statement said the latest escalation reflects broader external agendas aimed at expanding regional tensions and using the Red Sea and Bab el-Mandeb as leverage against the international community.
Meanwhile, international condemnation is mounting over Houthi threats to maritime navigation in the Red Sea and Bab el-Mandeb. Kuwait, Qatar and Bahrain condemned the Houthi attack on a Saudi-operated vessel, warning that such attacks threaten international shipping, trade and global energy supplies. They also reaffirmed full solidarity with Saudi Arabia. Lebanon condemned Houthi threats against Saudi Arabia and shipping through Bab el-Mandeb, calling for respect for international law and relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions. Spain and Bulgaria also rejected the threats to commercial navigation, warning of wider risk to regional stability and a global economy. Spain additionally reaffirmed its support for the Presidential Leadership Council and the international recognized government and called for de-escalation and diplomacy.
At the United Nations, GCC Secretary General Jasmine Badawi called for a firm international response to Houthi threats to close Bab el-Mandeb Strait and to Iranian attacks threatening regional maritime security. Addressing a high-level UN Security Council debate in New York, al-Badawi said the Houthi threats represent a serious violation of international law and endanger freedom of navigation through one of the world's most strategic waterways. He warned that such escalation threatens global supply chains, international trade and energy flows, calling for immediate accountability and stronger international action to protect critical infrastructure and maritime routes. Badawi also condemned Iranian actions affecting navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, saying threats against commercial vessels and international waterways undermine regional and global security.
In Brussels, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas condemned the Houthi attack on an oil tanker in the Red Sea as unacceptable and unlawful, warning that it risks further escalating regional tensions. Kallas said recent Houthi threats to impose a maritime blockade on Saudi Arabia represent a direct threat to regional stability and a dangerous escalation. She called for an action to end an action to endangering international shipping and safers and urge compliance with international law and relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions. Kallas also reaffirmed the EU's commitment to protecting freedom of navigation in the Red Sea and surrounding international waters through its defense naval operation Aspidius.
And in Vienna, Ambassador to the United Nations Office Haytham Shuja'a-Din met with UNIDO Director General Gerd Muller to discuss economic recovery and development support. Shuja'a-Din briefed the UN official on recent Houthi escalation in the Red Sea, including threats to Bab el-Mandeb and attack on a Saudi vessel, warning of risks to international navigation, trade, energy supplies. He also highlighted Yemen's economic challenges and government efforts to ease their impact, including the decision to resume oil exports. The ambassador called for a stronger UNIDO role in supporting recovery projects in the energy, agriculture and fisheries sector, Mueller reaffirmed UDU's willingness to support Yemen, saying the organization would explore assistance to rehabilitate these sectors and seek funding for development projects in coordination with the government.
Diplomatically, in Ottawa, Ambassador Jamal Al-Salal held talks with the Global Affairs Canada's Director General for the Middle East, Ambassador Stephanie McCollum, on bilateral relations and the latest regional developments. Al-Salal briefed the Canadian official on recent escalation, including Iran's violation of Yemeni airspace and continued support for the Houthi militia. He also highlighted the humanitarian situation and called for increased Canadian development, humanitarian and capacity building support. McCollum expressed concern over escalating tensions and condemned the violation of Yemen's airspace and sovereignty. She also reaffirmed Canada's support for the Presidential Leadership Council and the Yemeni people, as well as United Nations-led efforts toward a peaceful settlement, while confirming continued Canadian humanitarian and development assistance.
Turning to community and peace-building efforts, women leaders and local stakeholders met in Marib to strengthen women's participation in peace-building and social cohesion. The forum brought together 50 representatives from government institutions, civil society organizations, political parties, and community leadership, with discussions focused on identifying priorities to expand women's role in the peace process and local decision-making. Deputy Minister of Local Administration Abdullah Al-Qubaisi reaffirmed the government's commitment to increasing women's participation in state institutions, local authorities, politics, and development. Executive Director of the Marib Girls Foundation, Arwa Al-Raymal, said the meeting formed part of the project aimed at strengthening women's participation in peace building and community cohesion.
That's all for tonight. Thank you for watching and have a good time.